Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Kanchi Shah, and it gives me immense pleasure in welcoming you all to the Technology Driven Solutions for Modern Organizations Endpoints Unlocking Exponential Innovation webinar, brought to you by Dell Technologies, Intel, and Strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, as organizations navigate new hybrid work models and shifts in business priorities, IT needs are evolving to accommodate these changes. Recent research shows that the most successful companies will be those that proactively invest in their organization's technological agility, modernizing with purpose and intention to avoid reactionary band aid decision making. The journey of modernization is ever evolving and no longer optional. It is needed for companies not only to survive, but to thrive and innovate. IT teams need a strategy which defines outcomes based on their business needs while keeping a people centric approach at the core. Dell Technologies, Intel, and Strategy are pleased to welcome you to the webinar themed around technology driven solutions for modern organizations, modernizing IT to enable new ways of work. Ladies and gentlemen, we request you to please address your questions to our speakers using the Q&A option on your screen. We would also request you to please fill out the feedback form towards the end of today's webinar proceedings. Please feel free to mention any suggestions or recommendations that you have. This will help us enhance the content, structure, and delivery of our conferences. Today in our midst, we have eminent IT, business, and technology leaders. And they're going to be joining us in a discussion with Mr. Arjun Vishwanathan, Chief Knowledge Officer, Strategy. Please join me as I welcome Mr. Mariar Patel, Group Chief Information Officer, Gina and Company. With him, I'd like to welcome Mr. Unmesh Deshpande, Chief Technology Officer at Kingsway Hospitals. Over to you, Arjun.
Hello and welcome. I'm Arjun Vishwanathan and I warmly welcome all of you to the Connected CIO series, where we are going to be talking about the AI imperatives or the artificial intelligence imperatives to be able to unlock the future in a sense of the word. And I'm going to be joined by two very, very eminent gentlemen today to talk about how increasingly cognitive technologies seem to be the fastest growing area in modern computing today. Applications that previously required human intelligence, including data analytics and complex processing, statistical modeling, and visualizations, are now perhaps augmented by powerful machine learning algorithms, shortening the time between ideas and results. And increasingly, as digital transformation efforts and initiatives and the race to hypercompetitiveness accelerate, industry is demanding workstations and endpoints that deliver the power to deploy and manage cognitive technology platforms, including ML and AI. And of course, deep learning. And to talk to me about all of this and what promises to be a fascinating set of dialogues, please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Mariar Patel, the Group CIO for Gina and Company. Mr. Patel, welcome, sir. Delighted.
Thank you so much, Arjun.
Thank you, sir. And Unmesh Deshpande, who till recently was the Chief Technology Officer at Kingsway Hospital and is now a Principal Technology Consultant to industry as a whole. Unmesh ji, welcome. Equally delighted, sir.
Thank you, Arjun. Nice to be here.
Thank you. I'm going to directly jump into it, gentlemen. Mr. Patel, with your permission, if I could come to you. If you were to condense the learnings of the last 2 years, years which have fairly been traumatic at various levels, but have yet unlocked immense opportunities that we may not have been aware of or cognizant of, how do you see the role of modernization blossoming within industry today in terms of business modernization and specifically in the mid-market segment?
Sure. Arjun, I think this is a very imperative question in all our minds, especially the CXO levels. So when we work closely with all the other heads of the departments, we see that here it's not a technology game plan alone. It's a business transformation journey. And that journey in the last 2 years have actually widen up the space of quick enablement, quick opportunity grasping, looking at new ideas in each of the industry that we serve, and also to see how each of these businesses make sense with technology, right? So that's where we see that you run the complete automated ERP environment in your own organizations. Number one, that would be the base. And second thing is to you adopt all the latest in digital technologies, which you would clearly call it as AI, augmented reality, and big data, and a lot of other jargons, which people, Umesh would agree with me, is that we've been working in these layers of technology over a last decade and more. So only thing what changes is is what gets tagged today, as you see, and that runs the most. So having said that, what's happening, especially in my industry, if you look at it today, we see a lot of these new digital solutions coming in a very rampant manner. Here, I think we are talking about two perspectives alone: how to see that there is less manual intervention in each of our processes. And I firmly believe that there should be a 3-click approach for everything. When I say 3-click is that if you go on an e-commerce platform, if you want to buy anything, it should be as that simple to do as a situation that should work in-house as well. So I feel that is something which is going to be very, very important in all our minds, to see that we be like the big A's of the world and the G's of the. Now there is a very thin line in what's imperative to implement and what could be just a shadow over what you have implemented. And I feel that you should not go into a trap of saying that you have taken up technology because it is the best in the world. Take up a technology project which could be looking at a transformation within your company, and that could make a difference. Number one. Number two, you engaged with a startup or a player which could be talking to you in terms of business, not in technology alone. That is another part which has to be very, very careful. So I basically follow these clear 2 or 3 steps. One is the use case that you're trying to resolve.
Of course.
Into making that business sense apply to your industry. And what is the end result for it?
No, I couldn't agree with you more, sir. With your permission, if I could take that to Unmesh. Unmesh, I think what Mr. Patel just articulated was supreme in nature, because my question to you is, in this overall conversation or the dialogue on modernization, do you feel or don't you feel that in a sense, the entire journey is one of being able to embed digital into the very fabric of the enterprise and therefore bring about a convergence of human capital and technology to fuse together?
Yeah, that's pretty much true. But see, as Mr. Patel mentioned, that past 2 years, 2.5 years, they have been really trying for all the IT architects and visionary to keep the things going on. And at the same time, this particular threat posed as a challenge, which was an opportunity for all of us to really gear up beyond our capabilities.
Of
And
course.
we really scaled up. And fortunately, all of us were able to keep all the lights green and ticking. Having said that, what we realized is in the example which Mr. Patel cited about the ERP, even in healthcare, there is a ERP which is called as the HMIS.
Correct.
So the HMIS system, which was BPMN 2.0 compliant and had all the golden workflows, which were decided and guided by, let's say, NABH and other healthcare standards, these players really did well. And the people who had home cooked or raw kind of a software setup or some application doing something, they were not able to keep up with the pace of modernization that was required. That clear paradigm shift between the approach of the clients for the healthcare, that is the patient and the relative, was earlier they were happy with a phone call. Now they wanted an alert SMS followed by a WhatsApp and a chatbot really guiding them through their problems. Not only that, they expected a video platform coming on their phones. So this transformation was a key driver for all of us in healthcare to really excel on our technology front.
That's actually interestingly put, sir, with your permission. Mr. Patel, I liked what Unmesh ji just mentioned, because doesn't it all boil down to experience? At one level, you're looking at experience for your customers, but equally experience for your employees is equally important. Increasingly so in a ecosystem today that boasts of one that is a hybrid workplace. In that sense, Mr. Patel, do you feel that the endpoint device that a remotely located employee or a contract staff is allocated, and his or her ability to work with it in a seamless fashion, would go a long way in driving employee experience, which is equally important to customer experience or anything else?
So Arjun, I think Umesh got out a very important point, and I have been talking about this for a very long time in terms of a user experience design. See that you will be very familiar with a lot of companies using the word engineering,
Of course.
re-engineering, redesigning, reworking on what you run as a process. And today, that engineering part, today, there's a lot of companies call that digital solution or IT team as engineering teams. And you will see this word in the startup industry, especially. You know, when they design a system, whether it has to be used internally or by an external customer, whether it's a B2C, B2B, or whatever area, I think that user experience design plays a very important role in today's context. You will be surprised that the processes which are having 10 touch points of processes could be easily go to 2 or 3. And that is something what technology should be able to deliver in a process mapping and redesigning of how the whole process has to work in terms of a technology deployment. And that is going to be our biggest change that we as CIOs has to drive within the organization. And I'll tell you, this is not a cakewalk. It doesn't happen just one day. Because I've worked on various SaaS platforms presently also, including the big fives that I'm implementing right now. So the point here is very clear that each of them has their base system so robust, but it still allows you to do a lot of scripting, tweaking, development over that base area, so that the base area does not change.
That's very, very interesting. Unmesh ji, if I could come to you, with vast amounts of data today, of course, in Mr. Patel's industry, which is supply chain and logistics, in your industry, which is healthcare and patient management, you're working with vast amounts of data, and therefore, doesn't it become incumbent upon organizations to assist the staff or the employees that are working on such data and platforms to be given the kind of powerful machines which have embedded layers of artificial intelligence and machine learning to be able to genuinely drive intelligence at the point or the juncture at where the data is generated?
In my opinion, the endpoints, as the technology and the years progress and we go into next decade or something, they should become leaner and leaner.
And powerful.
And powerful. So what it should have is, it should have minimal local storage, but a pre-embedded dedicated machine. So there could be a computing device for healthcare. There could be a computing device for logistics. There could be a computing device for chemical industries. And this will be a specific team, specific players or elements in the entire IT architecture of that enterprise. Now, coming back to the data part of it, from a distributed database architecture with multiple tables in a RDBMS and then connectors written and getting the results, the efficiency overall of the compute engine comes down. So if you have an automated ETL process and a single data lake architecture, while you do your BI analytics and business information standards or any dashboards, single data lake architecture will always come out with the flying colors, because data is always there on a monolith platform. To connect your probes and fetch it, it's the way you have to write the rules as per your business. So it becomes a malleable and a ductile kind of a fabric which can be used and consumed by anyone.
Oh, very, very interesting, Mr. Patel, which is what makes it an observant point, which is that the concepts of work as we knew it have also changed. There's a fair establishment of the hybrid workspace. And increasingly, the expectations of organizations in terms of the abilities, the accountabilities, the roles, and the skills from their employees have also gone through a fair bit of transformation over the last 2 years when we were all cooped up at home. In that sense, there are two fundamental questions which are both connected, which is one, do you feel that the nature of work stands fairly transformed today than it were about 2 years back? That's number one. And therefore, number two, bringing you back into the endpoint conversation. Does the organization's ability to give me a powerful, good machine to work on help the organization achieve far more incremental metrics of productivity, efficiencies, collaboration, and perhaps innovation in the entire journey somewhere?
Yeah, Arjun, I think some of the points which are very important for us is to being agile, right?
Of course.
Accept change, make the change happen, right? And I think not only the last 2 years, that's been the technology forte. That's what the technology drives today. It's not just the 2 years. Earlier also it was agility, change management processes, how to work better. But now it is becoming very, very, very important that the endpoints have to be giving that power to the users.
Of course, of course.
And I feel it is not only the speed. It is also the applications that he uses, the way he uses, and according to the department and the level he works in, then his duties are adjusted to the situation that he needs to perform as his best, right? Whether he operates from office or home. So we have done the transformation change and we have said that we will follow a mobile approach from wherever he works. Now, mobility is a situation where you can say that desktops have to be replaced by laptops.
Indeed.
More better mobile devices, more connected environment. I think that goes for your endpoints. The other point which you asked, Arjun, I missed out the first question. What was that?
Which is, do you feel that roles and responsibilities and skills today stand radically transformed from where they were 2 years back? Because Arjun Vishwanathan as an independent employee is perhaps expected to deliver far more than what is stated in a contract or a document.
Yeah, I think working smart, and that working smart happens only through the applications that you provide.
Absolutely.
Right? I think the Excels help you look at computing and providing you the right relation to data, but the applications that you provide are going to be the game changers.
Oh, indeed so.
The more smarter they are in terms of a work situation will be more helpful for the company in a longer period of time. See, I think the end objective is to serve a customer, number one. How do you serve the customer? The employee should be efficient in terms of running an environment, whether it's an application, whether it's a database, whether it's a reporting, whether it's a dashboard.
Of course.
I think some of the tools in amalgamation of the way you provide these automation tools to the employees is going to really make sense. So I'm just telling you one more example, a real life example that we're using, and we are doing the transformation. We are looking at complete new financial management tool, and that's what we're trying to see, that it comes into a play into what we were traditionally running and how we're running. And this is, in any new implementations, these are the risks involved.
Of course.
And obviously, there are time frames of implementation. So there is a curve involved to it. So, but you as a CXO, you need to be ready and prepared that nothing comes off the shelf or it's not as a fly mode. So it goes through the curve of implementing a system which is going to take its time into a real life, realistic requirement as a process for the employees. And that is going to be a better thing that we have to work on.
I do completely agree with you, which is why, Unmeshji, my question to you, therefore, is in continuation to what Mr. Patel just articulated, which is, therefore, do you feel, having observed industry, not just over the last very many years, but also over the last, let's say, 2.5 years, where we've truly seen disruption, is that for organizations that are attempting to be more intelligent in the future, or rather the intelligent enterprises of the future, for organizations that are planning to be or attempting to be more resilient, more nimble and agile, and obviously accelerate their value and strategic board metrics, the ability is kind of going hand in hand with an employee's ability to function better, which as a factor comes down to the endpoint that one uses?
Actually, this cannot be answered directly. There are
I realize that.
Yeah, but it's a complex stuff. What I feel is maybe a radical thought. How about gamifying the complete application which are used by employees? These days, employees are more friendly on things like WhatsApp and smileys and stuff like that. So if you gamify your applications, the employee is more attached to it. There is a lot of traction between his work and his passion, his will to work. And if all these things are properly aligned, I think the results will be much better. And this gamification will result into a positive use of the systems and processes which are governed by the IT enterprise in any organization.
True. No, that's actually interesting, because I do come to now, Mr. Patel, one particularly important aspect of this entire journey. And you spoke about modernization, you spoke about how the device, and of course the smarter the platforms or the softwares that are on it enable employees to do that much more. My question to you also is, do you feel that organizations today, that's number one, have moved beyond the traditional logic of allocating laptops or workstations or devices to their employees, and have moved to a more logical, evolved approach or a thought process where roles and responsibilities and the activities that an employee will perform will govern what device I get to work on and what device I get to work with?
So I think every organization would have a mix of an approach.
Okay.
Some of them would have looking at providing a suitable configuration for the work you do. Others would have looking at a situation that okay, bring your own device, and each of them would have their own governance as an IT policy. So I, as an organization today, I follow ISO 27001 ISMS, certified 4 years in a row, and we see that today the choice from my organization is that I provide the devices to my users.
Of course.
One, that the data is still internal. Basically, it's the working and the principle involves that we provide a device to them. We also have certain policies governed to that situation. But I've seen organizations worked earlier where they said, okay, I'll pay you X amount, and then probably you get your own devices suited. And he would say, I would put 10,000 more and I will get a
better. On that particular point, Mr. Patel, if I could just interject and ask you a question. How then should organizations balance the beauty of technology in terms of the endpoints and as powerful as they are, as well as the concepts of fiscal prudence? Because, well, there are finite budgets at the end of the day, and we can't pay
Yeah,
ourselves.
so I think the justification would be that you do a due diligence in your organization into looking at minutely at the level of people, the department he works in, and then allocate and do an proper device mapping technically. The second point is that if I say I want to do a BOYD, I mean, bring your own device and then BYOD and then, govern that accordingly, then he will have to look at an MDM
Of course.
installed on it so that there is no compromise of any data. But as you know, there are a lot of quicksands in each of the technologies, and people take advantages, which probably IT is sometimes is not able to take care of it.
Which I completely couldn't agree. And thank you for bringing that up, because Unmesh, that is precisely what I want to bring to you. Mr. Patel just spoke about the risks, hidden risks involved, specifically in the kind of cyber threat landscape that we exist in as organizations. Therefore, my question to you is, powerful machines for the end user that are coupled very closely with AI and machine learning softwares in the underlying infrastructure layer, do they act as the first gatekeeper or the first sentinel against possible threat attacks?
See, BYOD concept is still a concept. I don't think any organization has fully adopted to it
I
and
realize.
encouraged it. There are multiple ways that you can give a choice to employees who are working
No, but even
remotely.
without the BYOD, if you were to supply as an organization
Yes,
the laptops, the devices,
correct. So if I were to empower my mobile users who are traveling, let's say there is a sales team, there is a project team, who will not be coming to the office as such and connecting to the corporate secured LAN. How do I solve the problem of people not copying the data, not compromising? As Mr. Patel said, that in spite of having MDM, there are one-up guys who can breach through that.
we always
And that
heard
is
about that
why,
one bad penny.
yes. So that is why the data security and information breaches still happen in the world. The conceptual idea in my mind that comes firsthand is, why don't we look at a VDI and give a standard kind of a laptop or any mobile phone which is capable of connecting at 4G plus speeds to internet and access that VDI. So it's a virtual desktop interface infrastructure which can be governed by corporate and which can be closely monitored as if the employee is on-prem rather than on being site. So number one, the data stays within the VDI structure. No data can be flushed out. And the devices accessing that VDI, even if they are infected, they do not corrupt the information or they do not any compromise the data on the main store. So that could be one of the things. VDI will also bring mobility because the bandwidth required for VDI is less.
Much lesser.
Much lesser. Because actually data never travels over a VDI. What travels is your images and click responses. So with that, there is no data traveling over any unsecured or secured internet connection, which are there at multiple locations, or a public Wi-Fi hotspot which people may be using, or even a unsecured broadband connection at home. So that could be one of the things which comes to my mind. Now coming to AI and ML part, those AI and ML part could be profiled into every user's login depending upon that role that they play. So as soon as that employee logs in to that particular VDI instance or any other VDI instance, looking at the credentials, those scripts would be running in backend and providing him intuitive future actions or future doables or tasks, what he needs to complete. So it will be a scripted governance model which users will be experiencing, and they
So
will not be lost.
by that measure, then, Unmesh, if I could ask you, as you peer into the future, and as you see an evolution of everything that we've traditionally known as the concept of work, the concept of success, the concept of acceleration within industry. What kind of a role do you see powerful endpoints and powerful devices playing in an organization's acceleration to a journey which is complex yet filled with immense opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, we have to segregate and segment the type of employees within your organization. Not all people would require a powerful computing workstation, and there would be some users, maybe the CAD team, who are doing a lot of graphic designing and engineering, I mean, machine engineering, and they would not be suitable candidates for VDI because it will not work with the resolutions limitation. So, you need to categorize and segment the manpower or the employees, and based upon that, you assign is this, let's say, set of
The,
specific.
the relevant or the contextual device.
Exactly.
No, I agree with you, sir, because I do have a view on the clock. Mr. Patel, the same question to you. What do you see the role of endpoints as Indian industry, move towards uh, a brighter future? But I also have an important question to you in conclusion, which is that Unmesh ji spoke about the concept of profiling users of the endpoint. Would you rather do that, or do you see the future being able to profile the outcomes that an organization wants and then allocating the relevant device to the user? What do you see
I think
happening?
the point here remains there is always a mixed approach, whether you want a very powerful device or you want a VDI sort of a device. You would want a company given laptop, or you want to look at a BYOD. See, the challenge is not here. The challenge is to look at a system which will forewarn you,
Of course,
help you perform better on these devices.
indeed.
You cannot be saying that I will develop an AI which will work on only VDI platform. That will not do. So I think what is important is that AI can surely play a big role. And how will it happen? It will study for 15 days on your pattern of usage of your devices and then program you into doing a lot of things that will give you that automation that needs to be done. Not only that, it will play a role of a security also. See, I think most of the threats, if you look at it, are originating from your endpoints only. It is not coming from the server level or there, unless and until it is clicked on the server.
Of course.
Most of the clicks happen on the endpoints only. So I think that AI automation also should happen on the security area.
Very interesting.
And today, how much ever you want to do to protect your data, it's highly impossible to protect it completely.
There is nothing
There
called
will
absolute
always be
protection.
some loose points. There will always be some things which are left out. Because I'll tell you, security today, I have, when I list it down, I've got 60 things to do on security. And 20 big products running on security. It's practically not possible that every organization would look at adopting those 20 tools. Not possible. So I think we need to look at something which is far more intelligent, far more intuitive, far more data driven into how you operate on your endpoints, and then tell you what needs to be done on your way of working and security put together.
I couldn't agree more with both of you gentlemen. And much as this has been a fascinating conversation that I would have loved to continue, that's pretty much what we have time in this segment. And I do know that you've got schedules ahead. Mr. Patel, Unmesh ji, as always, a privilege listening to your very nuanced views. Personally, very delighted and very, very grateful, sir.
Thank you, Arjun ji. Thank you, Umesh ji.
Thank you.
Wish you all the
so
best.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, that was me in conversation with Mary R. Patel and Unmesh Deshpande in a fascinating conversation on the modernization of the endpoint for the intelligent enterprises of the future. Stay tuned and we'll be back with the next segment in just a moment.
Thank you very much, Meher. Thank you, Unmesh and Arjun, for that very encouraging and engaging discussion. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, is a success spotlight fireside chat. And I'd like to welcome Mr. S. Radesh, Director and General Manager for Medium Businesses India at Dell Technologies. He is in a conversation with Mr. Arjun Vishwanathan, Chief Knowledge Officer, Strategy. Over to you, Arjun.
Hello and welcome back to one more segment of the Connected CIO, which talks about the AI imperatives and unlocking the future. As Indian industry gears up to seize the opportunities of the new year, much of them obviously enabled by the power of technology, CIOs and IT leaders are perhaps mandated today more than ever before to solve complex problems with technology that is made for innovation. Across sectors and especially across segments, it seems to be amply clear that endpoint users are demanding more from their machines, not least of all, the ability to extract valuable insights from vast amounts of data. And to talk about this entire modernization journey in specifically the mid-market segment, please put your hands together to welcome a very, very eminent subject matter expert from industry, Radesh Shankar Narayanan, General Manager, Medium Business Segment, Dell Technologies. Radesh, welcome. Delighted.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you for a warm introduction. And I think, I'm looking forward to this, chat with you. And while the audience is, looking forward to an interesting session between us, I hope I cover some of the doubts or, clear some of the, thoughts in their mind about the mid-market segment that we
absolutely.
discovered.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, Radesh, because we've got about 20 odd minutes and I intend to make the maximum of it. Is one of the questions that I have or the observations is that, see, if 2020 were to have been the year of disruption and 2021 classically the year of transition, in many, many ways, in a sense of the word, 2022 promises to be the year of acceleration and modernization. In that sense, Radesh, what is your perspective on why in the mid-market segment, there is no better time to modernize than today, ever before, both in terms of business modernization and therefore as a byproduct, technology modernization, which equally becomes the imperative. Radesh.
Hey, exciting question because, you rightly, summed it up, the 2020 and the 2021 and the way forward in 2022. Now, if you were to look back, I'm sure you would have read it across the board in various media segments, as well as whether it is electronic or virtual. You would have heard about, India being at the, juncture where this decade, from a business standpoint, belongs to India. Now, from a GDP perspective, every growth element, kind of alludes to that. That given the way we are structured, a democratic nation with a healthy investment coming into different sectors, we are well poised. And now it's, if you look at the last couple of years, you would have seen so many small organizations mushrooming. Now, today they are called startups. And then they've been given a new name as well. The Sunicorns, Minicons, Unicorns, and the rest of the cons. Now, to the people who are not in the industry, they will be wondering, what are these cons? Are these sweet cons or American cons or whatever? But I guess the owners, the founders of these cons are laughing all the way to the bank. Why? Because they seized the opportunity in the marketplace. They had a value proposition which appealed to the investors. They saw that there is opportunity to invest and reap dividends. Why? Because India as a subcontinent, you would have seen, has embraced this technology, given the fact we went through so many disruptions, not just the pandemic. Prior to that, also multiple disruptions. I don't want to name it, but we are one of the few countries in the world where, UPI has been adopted in a very, very efficient manner. And what does it mean? Power is in the hands of the people, the common man. He can transfer. You don't have to have access to, physical cash to do any transaction. Now, what does it mean? While that's an end product and that's an outcome, what it also means is there are lots of small organizations which are working to create that code, which helps us attain this. If you were to go back in time, we would have said this is impossible in India. Given the fact half of our country believes in dealing in cash and the other half believes in credit cards, today, if you were to tell me 10 years back that we would be using the mobile more than the credit cards, I would have said, are you joking?
Indeed.
So this has been a revelation. Now, during pandemic, we've seen organizations scale up because we understand that MSMEs have a huge role to play, because if any country has to scale forward, there has to be lots of employment generated. There's a lot of investment. There have to be a lot of expenditure. So it's a cycle, and for that to happen, MSMEs have to scale. MSMEs to scale, they have to have a better value proposition to their customers. Now, for that to happen, they should have right business, template to enable that business. They should have the right access to the right infrastructure, be it the from an IT standpoint or from a resourcing standpoint. They should have the right infrastructure to enable them to have access to huge business opportunities that are there in the country today. And as such, the single most impediment to this has always been the mindset that most of the MSMEs carry, that should I or should I not invest? They look at the cash flow, they look at their overall thing, they keep postponing it. What they don't realize is that if they embrace technology, they can do things faster.
Of course.
Compared to the things in the past. The latest product is able to expedite things which would have taken double or 2x or 3x of the time in the given, in the past. Productivity. That is what I'm referring. Second part is employee retention. MSMEs are always poached by enterprises because they are the place where people hone their skills, learn.
The training schools, the training grounds.
Training grounds. So if you need to retain talent, you need to provide the near enterprise kind of experience to your employees. They are these days the large enterprises call that you have to enhance the employee experience. What is employee experience all about? It's not just about fancy offices. It's not about fancy settings that the employee decides or he demands or he wants to have. His basic amenities is what he demands. He needs a place to sit and work, and he needs the right product on which to work on.
By that measure, Radesh, if I could interject,
sure.
I heard your articulation. I thought it was brilliant, and I, in a very considered manner, took down a few points that you spoke specifically about the MSME or the mid-market segment, where you essentially said it's been established that the segment, by and large, has the right positive temperament and the attitude, the sentiment to be able to want to accelerate, and the appetite today to be able to want to invest. In that sense, how do you converge this with the whole story going around the mid-market segment equally generating so much of data today for them to be able to drive hyper-competitiveness, acceleration of rate of innovation, and boil that down to Dell Technologies' narrative on the whole concept of powerful machines which have AI and machine learning embedded in their very infra layer?
So, Arjun, interesting point, and a complex question which has
forgive me for that, please, Radesh.
No worries on that part. But yes, so what do MSMEs need? They need to be able to have. They need to be able to have an understanding of the marketplace before time, right? If they are able to get guidance from technology, they're that much more sharper, that much more tuned to the realities of the marketplace, and they're able to adapt and be agile in terms of that is what separates them from enterprises, large enterprises, is their ability, nimbleness, their ability to change thoughts or their GTM, the go-to-markets, or the approach to their customer set in a radical manner if required, if the situation demands. Because by being a small organization, they're able to adapt and change the way they work. Now, why is it important that they look at technology? Because technology is, it resides in terms of, if you look at any machines which are there coming from our side, or, we have, like you rightly pointed out, machines with intelligence built into them, machine learning as well. Now, what it helps is that customers are able to take advantage of it and use it in their day-to-day work. And using that, they are able to gain insights. And how do they utilize those to enhance productivity, enhance where the next business is likely to come from, use that to find out the next big business opportunity within their mind, the right opportunities within their fold, look at the next possibilities of in terms of platform improvement, maybe fine tune some of their platforms to, basis the insights coming from deploying these AI and ML, uh, you know systems in your place. You're able to efficiently manage, navigate your way through tough and difficult situations. We've seen these happening in more and more organization of late. uh, if you were to look at our participation in these segments, we are by and large leaders in this segment. Whether you look at it from any product segment, whether it is from endpoints right up to the server storage, right up to solutions, requiring, cyber recovery kind of CRS as well. We are way well engaged with our set of customers across the in medium business segment, especially the what you mentioned or what you alluded to, the MSME, fastest growing segment in the world.
Well, Radesh, you make a compelling argument on the, if I were to mention this, on the benefit and the beauty and the vast amounts of value that investing in infrastructure, as you have mentioned in this format, will bring to the MSME segment. And it is a compelling argument, no doubt about it. However, for this particular segment, there's also the consideration of fiscal prudence. And the reality of it is not every organization is going to give or is going to have the possibility or the ability or the capacity to give everybody the beautiful machines that we're speaking about. How do you, from a Dell Technologies perspective, bring about and balance that narrative for these organizations in the segment?
We've worked with the same customers. Who are we? We are one of the oldest startup in this world, right? Who better than us to understand and relate to the organizations these are out there trying to carve out or trying to become one of the biggest in the world in the times ahead. We understand that they go through various cycles of fiscal challenges, right? What we have done is we've opened up opportunities for them to deal with us, whether direct or indirect, whether through directly with us. We are able to give them credit. We are able to, through the channel partners, we are able to give them, whether it is a distribution or a value-added reseller, we are able to provide them the right financial, deal that they are looking for. If they are looking at a financial partner, for example, a financing company, be it through a leasing option or a pay-as-you-grow concept as well, or a rent kind of a thing, rental. We are open to any and every way to for our customers to engage with us. Finance is not the showstopper for them, because we believe that if they have access to the right technologies, finance should not be the showstopper for them, because they are going to need these systems. And once they have it, they will grow faster and they will be able to make more and more money using these systems. And over a period of time, things will become clearer.
That's well articulated, because you certainly enlightened us on the entire purchase angle of the scheme of things, of the investments into superior endpoints that are powerful and more intelligent than they were ever before. But there's also a question which is a constant refrain from within industry and within this particular segment is, and I'd like you to help us understand that, and this wonderful audience that's tuning in with us today, is how do you quantify the business benefits of an investment which is going to be fairly sizable, and how do you quantify the value that it will generate, whether it is in terms of productivity? Because you just spoke about helping them grow faster. Grow faster has multiple connotations. Of course, you spoke about revenue, but there are multiple variables. There's productivity, there's the ability to innovate, there's the ability to differentiate, there's an ability to increase agility. In your sense of the term, how does Dell Technologies' narrative build into quantifying the benefits of endpoint modernization?
See, if you were to look at it, employee experience is what we term it as, right? When you look at employee experience, from whether it is from being able to conduct their work in a faster, better manner, or collaborate, using collaboration tools, using better facilities from our side, if they're able to work, productivity increases. Now, if you were to look at a 4 or 5 year horizon, and what could be the value of a device, take a ballpark of anywhere between $800 to $1,000. That is also on the higher side. You
It
could
is.
even say 600 to $800.
About $750, $800.
So 600 to $800 if you take it as a 4 to 5 year horizon, especially in the MSME segment. We are talking about, even if you consider 200 to 250 days in a year of work, how much does it come to across a 5 year horizon?
That's very important. That's an interesting aspect, of course.
We keep boiling the ocean for, negotiate hard and get that every penny saved. But is it really meaningful? Because the kind of MSMEs these days are looking at is a much larger picture, a much broader agenda. This is least of their problems. Actually, I think I would like to take this opportunity to tell the customers who are, sitting on the fence, to jump onto the bandwagon of, IT development from a perspective of, changing their infrastructure quite quickly, because finance should not be the least of, should not be the problem statement for them. If they were to look at it holistically over a 5 year horizon, it pays for itself much more than
No,
ever.
I think that's powerful as an argument. But I do have a view on the clock, Radesh.
Yeah.
One important question that I do have, and one observation equally, is that uh, for many years now, Dell Technologies has been perceived as partners in progress to industry, and especially the mid-market segment. In that sense of the term, what innovation can industry and the mid-market segment expect from Dell Technologies themselves to be able to power organizations to becoming more resilient, more intelligent, and of course, leap into the future in a more resolute manner?
I would like to answer this in two parts.
Please do.
From first of all, Dell Technologies as an investment or as a commitment to India is, manufacturing under the PLI scheme notebooks in India. I encourage each one of you to encourage your team members to look at this as an option, because it does for the country at large is that we are creating more employment. We are creating more employment. We are creating more industries here because we are sourcing components locally. So that's one aspect. So I'm not trying to be jingoistic here, nationalistic fervor, but that's the responsibility of every person to look at what we give back to the society. We are creating employment in a way. If every one of you could contribute to it, it serves the nation's purpose, right? Second part, Dell as an organization charter, definitely we are here to make revenue and margins, of course, for our organization. But having said that, from a social standpoint, we associate ourselves with many projects, sustainability one of them. Apart from that, what we are also doing from a business standpoint is also allocating some amount of our time for some of these MSME segment customers. Now, today, a better name has been created for them. It's called startups. Okay. Along with the government of India, with the METI, we have come up with a charter where we are working closely with the Niti Aayog as well in terms of providing mentorship to some of these budding entrepreneurs. Now, what is happening is these entrepreneurs sometimes lack skill or lack awareness about how to grow their business, either from a GTM perspective or from a financial perspective or from IT perspective. If any of these issues are there, we are as leaders in our respective zones, we have enough expertise within our organization. We have cleared up some of our time to help to help serve the society in a better manner. And I'm, using this forum, I also expect or request, some of the budding ones who are there. We are more than happy and open to, supporting the, growing MSME segment in a small way. It's impossible for us to go out and support each and every MSME member, but if there are some deserving cases, definitely we will put our hand up and be counted.
Couldn't agree more, Radesh. But that's pretty much what we have time for in this segment. It has been a fascinating conversation, Radesh. I do acknowledge the fact, and do kindly forgive me for some of the questions being fairly complex, but it is, I think, in the overall interest of folks to be able to try to cram in as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Radesh.
Thank you, Arjun, and it was a pleasure talking to you and through you to the
Audience.
audience as well.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was I in conversation with Radesh Shankar Narayanan from Dell Technologies on endpoint modernization in the mid-market segment. That's all from us here for now. Stay tuned. We'll be back with the next segment in just a moment.
Thank you very much, Radesh and Arjun, for that immensely insightful and enriching conversation. With that, we'd now like to play a short video on your screens. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is on how to choose the right device. Let's watch.
Reimagining endpoints. The way in which organizations empower employees across the devices they use every day is changing rapidly. As companies focus on delivering consistent, unifying, secure, and transformative experiences for employees. To balance between scenarios such as hybrid and remote work, frontline workers, data privacy norms, and zero trust security, it's only fair to say that your endpoint is the new workplace. Here are a few guiding points towards reimagining endpoint ecosystem by choosing the right device. Number 1. Shortlist the most important range of features that your business uses regularly. Portability. Common applications to be used by most workers or executives. Battery life. Security features. Embedded AI/ML capabilities. Processor clock speed. Storage capacity. And budget. 2. Mobility is a key consideration to allow a remote workforce to access files or data and work from anywhere and respond in a nimble fashion. 3. Speed and performance. The more CPU processing power available, the faster your computer or hardware device can work, allowing you to complete more complicated tasks and handle larger workloads. 4. Storage capacity. Storage and memory describe the amount of information that a device can store for you to access and use. And number 5. Budget is an important consideration for any business. But don't just hunt for the lowest price. First, evaluate the needs listed above, then opt for the best value within that set of qualifications. Be sure to do your research and buy from a reputable brand with great product innovation and warranty or after-sales support, so your investment is protected.
Thank you very much, everybody, for your attention. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrap. I hope that you found today's proceedings at the Technological Driven Solutions for Modern Organizations Endpoints Unlocking Exponential Innovation webinar insightful and fruitful. Thank you all once again for joining us today on behalf of Dell Technologies, Intel, and Strategy. I would request you to please take a few moments of your time and fill in feedback forms. Your feedback is very important to us. It's invaluable, so please feel free to mention any suggestions or recommendations that you have. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to sign off and look forward to welcoming you at our upcoming conferences. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great day ahead.